Hello, and welcome to a surprise video. So surprising, not even I knew what was happening until I woke up this morning. We just got some more info on the Star Trek Prodigy series, basically the first proper info since it was announced, and I think it's safe to say I am unreasonably excited for Star Trek Prodigy, because the way I see it, it's either going to be alright at worst, or it's going to be. It has so much potential, I think. It could be essentially what if Steven Universe was Star Trek at the height, at the best, and, I am a bit of a fan of Steven Universe. And it's just so interesting finally getting more information. Just the cast and characters. You wouldn't think it's a lot, but I think just from the little bit we have, we can kind of piece a little bit together, or at least see if it's what I expect, or at least was expecting from the series. So let's get into the article. We've got the voice talent first off. We've got Gwen, a 17-year-old member of the Vau N'Akat. I think the only one of these that's hard to pronounce. Which is a new race, of course. Grew up on a bleak mining planet and grew up dreaming of exploring the stars. So this voice actress, I do not recognize them, which is true for everyone but one person on this, actually, where I don't really recognize the work or the actress themselves. So at least for me, it'll be a lot of new people, and you'll see this isn't a particularly long filmography list either. I think for a lot of people, these will probably be newer voice actors. And this might be like one of the first or the first major role for them, but I'm not exactly the Oh, hang on, sorry, I've just realized. They were in Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children is Emma Bloom, which is actually a movie I've seen, but not a movie I remember in the slightest. Okay, no, I don't remember them, but I am familiar with this actress at least. Next up, we've got Doll, also 17 years old. So, at least these main characters, they seem to be. It's a kid's show, but definitely on the older side of kid's show characters. So, to me, that kind of suggests that it still will be. And I think they talked about this. The people who made Prodigy, I can't remember their names, but they had done Troll Hunters, which I've never seen. I only know about because of Prodigy. And the old Lego Ninjago stuff, which I really liked as a kid. And I remember that having more, like, plot and depth and character development as a show. And I've heard similar things about Troll Hunters. So that's kind of why I'm real hopeful that this is suggesting, well, it's a kid's show. There'll still be stuff to gain out of it for older people like me, like Steven Universe, or She-Ra, or basically most kid shows nowadays, I think. So they're a maverick. They hold strong to unwavering hope, even in the toughest times. And that line is interesting because I think these are the first two people. They're the older ones of this list, so I think they might be sort of the more main characters, essentially substituting for like the captain or first officer, maybe. I'll talk about the actor first. What was their name? Brett Gray. It was, again, someone I don't really recognize. I'm sorry, I keep having to lean across my tripod to actually see the screen. Chicago PD, big show, never seen it. Law and Order, also familiar with, never seen it. So this actor is probably more familiar to people. But that's interesting because, to me, you have Gwen up here, who is always dreamt of exploring the stars. That's a very Star Trek-y optimism character. That makes sense. And then you have the second one, the unwavering hope, even in the toughest times. Very Federation, Starfleet, which is interesting because to me, I think what this show was going for, and sort of to be that Steven Universe but Star Trek, is have a bunch of people. The Delta Quadrant, of course, very underdeveloped. There's hints of power, but there's no real big power structure like the Dominion or the Federation or stuff like that. And so, to me, it was almost a show where you'd have a bunch of young kids who grew up in like the broken, horrible world, And they then discover this Federation starship, and it was bringing them together, and especially through Janeway, teaching them, like, introducing them to a better world. And the Federation was just the idea of that mutual understanding and cooperation just for everyone's benefit is, like, completely foreign to these kids. And so I thought that was sort of the obvious direction where you could take Prodigy, is it'd be introducing real-world kids to the Star Trek values in a more broken world. And it would also lose that sort of darker edge a lot of the modern shows like Picard and Discovery have, simply because by the nature of a kid's show. You know, it's not going to have sex or nudity or, like, torture, gratuity, and all that. And this to me suggests almost that they're not going to be taking that route. They're going to kind of have people with Federation values closer to them, or at least more prone to that and exposed to that at the head. And I think that's interesting. I think it suggests they're not doing what I thought they would do, which doesn't necessarily mean it'll be better or worse, but I think it is interesting. Next, we've got probably the most interesting character as Jonok Pog, who is not a Talaxian, like so many of us thought. He's actually the Tellarite, which was also predicted, but didn't really make a lot of sense canon-wise. Yeah, I've just double-checked. Prodigy takes place in the year 2383. Yep. And if you look here, that's a few years after Lower Decks. Lower Decks will probably catch up to this year. Only, 4 years after Voyager got home, pre-Nova, and, you know, a little over 15 years before Picard. Picard gave no indication that we could travel to the Delta Quadrant, and Discovery didn't ever really give any indication that it was ever possible. I mean, they have faster transportation, like transwarp and all that, but there was never an indication that it had happened, which doesn't necessarily mean that it never happened. I mean, that's only, 20 episodes combined? But it is interesting to have that Alpha Quadrant species. And also a Tellarite, so finally Tellarite representation, a founding member of the Federation that has been comically absent in all of Star Trek's history and just kind of ignored and put aside. I mean, just to look at this article, the argumentative race later taking a prominent role during the final season of Star Trek Enterprise. I mean, prominent role. So 16-year-old, just a little younger. A good argument, of course. Actually, that's interesting. I'll come back to that. Actually, I'm not going to come back to that because I'm dumb and forgetful. But the reason that's interesting is because the theory I'm about to forgive for how there's a Tellarite in this show, it requires them to not be aware of their Tellarite heritage. And you would only argue as a matter of being polite if you grew up in Tellarite society. And so that is a bit unusual if what I'm about to say about this guy's origins does actually prove true. And he'll always kind of play the devil advocate. So yeah, he's argumentative, but that's polite in Tellarite culture, so he's not like a bad guy. He just arguments a lot because he's polite. And of course, this guy, a lot of stuff you'd know. The Good Place, never seen, but I know. Then Invincible is that new show. I'm aware of it, again, never seen. And American Dad, never seen, but aware of it. You'll notice the common trend. And then his Wikipedia page, Robot Chicken, I've heard of. I don't think I've actually seen anything on the list again. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So, you know, Gilmore Girls, a lot of experience. Regular Show, various voices, so I might recognize it. I've seen some Regular Show. Solar Opposites, also new, never seen it, again, but DuckTales. Yeah, a lot of big title stuff, but again, just someone I happen to not know. But the Tellarite's interesting, of course, because how did he get there? I actually had a discussion with someone on the Reddit for this earlier today. And you can make it work, of course. There's loads of ways a Tellarite could get there. But a Tellarite is very likely to actually know about the Federation, know about the ship, maybe even know about Janeway. And they kind of advertise, I think this article even mentions it, it's people who know nothing about the ship or the Federation they've come on. And 16-year-old Tellarite, the thought occurred to me that you could just have this be like a baby Tellarite, that maybe they fell through a wormhole or something, or more likely their parents were on the ship that the Prodigy crew is going to discover. And so you kind of have a reverse Odo or a Seven of Nine situation where this Tellarite then goes to the ship and learns more about themselves, their heritage, the Federation. And I think that could be really interesting from a story perspective. Yes, it is basically Odo, but it's a bit different because we know about the Federation, the Tellarites, and all this, and it could be a really interesting story. And I hope they do that. I hope they do something with it, interesting with it, and it's not just a Tellarite. That did really pique my interest. Next, we have Angus Emery as Zero, easy pronounced name, who's not actually a robot. They're a Medusan, so of course the non-corporeal, genderless. Don't remember if that was in the original series episode, Is There in Truth No Beauty? But this one is genderless. They're known to cause madness in any human who would lays onto them. Yep, that's TOS. So it's a containment suit they wear, which is an interesting idea. Someone pointed out it might be a bit weird from a writing perspective. Like, if the crew's ever in any trouble, they could just take off their armor and, like, beat any enemy. But I think you can also... I can kind of see where I think they're going with this is you could have a sort of storyline of... Because the original series, it was a bit of a problematic episode where they're like, oh, the Medusan is so ugly, it causes everyone insane, which is just ridiculous. But you could have someone who's really insecure about the fact that they drive literally everyone who looks at them insane, and you can get, some sort of development like, oh, it's okay to be, who you are or look however. That's a great character for a kid's show to have, so I kind of expect that's what they're doing it. It's a nice little callback, and they could sort of retroactively fix the problems with the TOS episode where everyone's just like, oh yeah, they drive them insane because they're just ugly, which doesn't... No. Like, yeah, obviously the Medusans drive people insane, but that's probably because of, like, some, I don't know, weird light or telepathy thing or chemical thing. It's not because they look ugly. I also just saw British actor, so, they're... well, I guess a lot of British actors will put on American accents, but you could just have a really posh British Medusan, and I kind of like the idea of that. But this guy, if we look, The Crown, of course, is real popular, never seen it, but not the largest memory alpha page, and The Crown is really the only thing I recognize. And it's not bad being an unknown actor. I kind of like it, because you can have, well, we just talked about The Crown, someone like Matt Smith, who is in a lot of things, and he used to just kind of be the 11th Doctor for me, but now he's even just become, that's Matt Smith. There's the picture, I'll just get it up. Yeah, there's this picture of Matt Smith from the upcoming Game of Thrones sequel, and I'm like, that's not a Game of Thrones character, that's just Matt Smith in armor. Like, I see them and they're just Matt Smith. The girl who did Sadie in Steven Universe is now doing Velma somewhere, and I heard the trailer and I'm like, I'm sorry, like, I loved your work, but you're just Sadie to me. I can't separate that. So I actually kind of like having the new voice cast I don't know, because I don't have any associations or biases with their voices or characters. Next up, D. Bradley Baker as Murph is the name of our little goo guy. Endearing, indestructible blob with curiously good timing, which, and an insatiable appetite for ship parts. Curiously good timing is a concerning phrase, because I think that could be a joke to maybe like the first episode or something, or this character is going to kind of become a get out of jail free card, a Deus Ex Machina for getting everyone out of trouble. Like, they just kind of show up with no explanation to save the day. I hope I'm just kind of reading too much into this, but that is a bit of a concerning line. And then this guy, very long Wikipedia page. I actually know them from a few things. Star Wars animated TV shows, some of the clones, they said. American Dad again. Muppet Babies. Yeah, hundreds of characters. If we look, SpongeBob, I've just saw. Bubble Bass, yeah, that's the big guy, I think, I don't remember. Fairly Odd Parents, as loads of people. Samurai Jack, a lot of people like. What's New Scooby-Doo, a lot of these are various characters. Codename Kids Next Door. Invader Zim. Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Original Teen Titans. Dora the Explorer. Danny Phantom, like, very clear. I noticed Appa and Momo is fun. I didn't know they were the same voice actor. Ben 10. There was another one. Oh my god, he voiced Perry the Platypus. Perry the Platypus, Momo, and Appa are all the same person. I think I'm gonna like this character. Yeah, here's the one. Captain Rex, Commander Cody, and like the Clone Troopers, and I do know that voice. I watched a little bit of the Clone Troopers. I didn't watch too much of it. We have standards on this channel, dating a certified Jedi. But yeah, I think that's interesting. Probably definitely the biggest star in this whole voiced cast. There's one. Gravity Falls. Oh my god, Steven Universe. He voiced Lion, Centipede, Lion, Centipede, Appa, Momo, and Perry the Platypus are all the same guy. And they're voicing an adorable blob in a Star Trek. Favorite character. I'm curious now, actually, if it'd be weird if they called in a lot of Steven Universe voice actors, kind of like the Orville does with Star Trek, and I'd just be like, hang on a minute. And then finally, we've got Rock Talk. Wonder actually if that should be pronounced more Klingon. By Riley Alsroqui, I suppose. Who was a very young actor, the Rock person, unusually bright 8-year-old girl. While a bit shy, Rock doesn't hold back when it comes to her love of animals. And this voice actress, yes, been in the business for a short time, doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. And you can see it just 6 voice credits, all pretty recent. Their father is apparently a actor and a voice actor, Carlos. I don't know them, but a really young actor then. They said 10 years old in here. Of course, we know this from before. The species is a beta canon species. The Brachir or Brachirian. I don't know what the show's going to use. Oh, Brachir looks like what the show's going to use. But yeah, it's a beta canon species. I know nothing about them outside of Prodigy. And of course, Kate Mulgrew is... I really wish they'd stop saying... Kate Mulgrew? Yeah, Kate Mulgrew is Catherine Janeway. And I really wish they'd stop saying that, because it's not Catherine Janeway. It's a holographic version of Captain Janeway, which, first off, I really hope she kind of has some sort of existential crisis, because Janeway to me was always the character who was against holographic rights, was like, Doctor, you're just a tricorder. Spent 45 minutes learning that actually sentient holograms have rights, and then forgetting that by the time of the next holographic rights episode, literally using the line like, Doctor, you're just a walking tricorder every single time, and it's Voyager, but kind of I love that irony that you're now a hologram. But yeah, you can still do a lot and pull a lot from the Janeway character, but this is a Janeway who went, at best, through Voyager. It'd be real interesting if it was a Janeway whose memories they took before Voyager. Actually, this looks like it's going to be a new ship. I'll get back to that. So probably it's all the Janeways and all the personality of Captain Janeway that we know, but now we're continuing with a different person. And so it's... I wish they'd kind of stop saying Catherine Janeway and like Hollow Janeway or something. But, you know, she's here. We know that. The images are real interesting. I'm just going to open all of these in a new tab. You can see First off, they're very high quality. They're beautiful CGI work. This is the most interesting one by far. I've just noticed, actually, this guy's got like a literal rat tail um, in the back of his head. But I assume this is the Starfleet ship. First and only thing we've seen of it, because like this is the shuttle bay door. They're looking out in the force field. Because it's kind of clean, got that white gray bit. It makes sense to me that's what it'd be. But I think these are shuttles then, is what they're going for. And they're unlike anything we've seen before. So again, assuming this is the Federation ship, all this goes out the window if it's not. It's interesting because, I mean, that's a gorgeous nebula, again, but Prodigy was so different. If we go back to that first image, that for the longest time, this was all we had on Prodigy. It was so... Actually, Janeway's in this picture now. It was so different with all new races, or at least now we know races that are just different enough because the art style, you don't immediately recognize them. This could be any sci-fi. It's good that they're doing new stuff, but just these aliens in the middle of a nebula, that could be anything. And so I had thought that you'd want to stick really close to the established 24th century look. Change it a bit, sure, but like put that cast on a Starfleet bridge, a Galaxy class, and it's obviously Star Trek, even with the new races. And I think you'd have to push the 24th century. You'd want to, first off, differentiate yourself from Lower Decks, but I think you can make it look better with this CGI. Like, this prettiness, you see, this shuttle. If we get more of it, I can easily... I don't know if this is lens flare or actual, like, nacelle glow, but I could easily see... it's almost Orville-like, but I can easily see, yeah, this is just the next... A shuttle bay. Hang on, actually. Yeah, because you've got this shuttle bay. That shuttle, I can't remember what it is, but from the Enterprise D. I'm like, yeah, I can see, whoops. I can see this is like just, what is it, about 20, 30 years younger than what's on screen now. And so I'd love it if they took the 24th century design, like a Galaxy-class ship, or like the, you know, the Lower Decks, the Cerritos look, and pushed it to that. Like, this could be the most advanced ship. It's got, you know, the tactical training, which, the training hologram, which I think is probably a result of the Valiant incident, where, you know, you had all the seniors officers die, and so it was just cadets. And they decide, you know, went horribly, if you haven't seen Deep Space Nine, and they all died because of essentially horrible management, because you have a cadet acting as captain. And so I could see them going, okay, let's take a great captain, put them as a hologram, like the EMH, as an emergency training program where if every Starfleet officer dies, that training program activates and either teaches like the civilian crew or any cadets on board what to do and how to take the ship home. So I could see this being a hyper advanced, you know, it's only a few years after Lower Decks, and it's a, derelict abandoned ship. So it's probably a ship built younger than Lower Decks, like a bit before. But I would love just this morphed into that, a bit sleeker. Recognizably 24th century, but evolved a bit. And I think that really helped the show, is where this, even if the aliens don't look Star Trek, I'd like to clarify, they are Star Trek, because they're Star Trek aliens, but they're new, so they don't yet look Star Trek, because we don't have that association. But yeah, if you put these non-Star Trek aliens into a recognizably Star Trek setting, I think it would really help the show. This image with the Rock guy, I've just seen, actually, they've got really human lips. Gorgeous. I mean, this is going to be a gorgeous show. Where you can see they're working on something, welding it, but yeah, that's just gorgeous. Again, you have, I can't remember anyone's names anymore, but you've got the other lead who you can't really tell anywhere that they are. It's actually really weird. It almost reminds me of the Assassin's Creed Origins? No, Odyssey. Origins might have done as well, but like the precursor vast precursor relics. I can't get a good example, but it's just showing off the beautiful animation. Look at that, the reflection in their eyes as well. It's just going to be a beautiful show. I was a little concerned, like a lot of people, where from the promo image originally it did look like it was just, you know, sort of generic CGI animation, which is why I kind of felt it needed that familiarity in the ships. But I mean, it's just gorgeous. Like more to say about that. Just looking at the last image, it's interesting. That almost looks painted, kind of like the Into the Spider-Verse stuff. Actually, I'm not sure if that's from the show or it's painted. Actually, okay. It says that it says they are all stills. But yeah, this is just, even if maybe the design of things is very similar to Rebels, or I'm just trying to think other more recent CGI shows that have come out, the production value is really going to set it aside, I think. Yeah, lush, guzzling, dazzling depth of field. I think part of this is helping is the E3 conferences have been going on, the gaming ones, and so I've seen a lot of nothing but beautifully rendered brown and gray images. So yeah, this is just that lovely, bright, pastel, beautiful color palette not a lot of things go for. Still no air date for Prodigy, which is interesting. I think everything we knew through COVID had suggested Prodigy was going to be first, and that's just not the case. If I get up my phone, I've got it. Lower Decks comes out August 12th, and so October 21st, assuming it gets 10 episodes, that's when the next series is probably going to come out. Either this or Discovery. We really don't know. I was going to say, my money would be on Prodigy, but I could very easily see them not wanting to do 2 animated shows at once. They do Lower Decks, Discovery, Prodigy, maybe, well, then it's Stranger Worlds and Picard. They're not going to be able to get another season of Lower Decks out. Or maybe they will, because they're doing the voice recording now, so it'd be real interesting to see when this comes out. I'd really love a Prodigy release date announcement, but probably October, if not December, probably late December. Discovery seasons tend to be a bit longer, but we know that Lower Decks, Prodigy, and Discovery all start releasing this year. And yes, they point out San Diego Comic-Con's apparently just over a month away. We'll probably see actual footage, actual proper, a trailer would be great, and then you can expect another video like this, as well as similar reviews or reactions and analyses after Lower Decks episodes come out, starting August 12th. So yeah, very excited for this show. In more of, because, you know, I've been burned before from the modern shows, and in more because I believe this has the most potential out of any show. I don't think it will reach it, because to me, there are 2 perfect shows. Star Trek Deep Space Nine and Steven Universe. If you're watching this, you're probably into the sort of lighter, optimistic commentary. It's hard to describe, but you saw the Star Trek-ness of Star Trek, and kid shows for younger people. Definitely give Steven Universe a watch if you haven't. But yeah, to me, though, there are 2 perfect shows, and so saying this has the potential to be Steven Universe, short of hiring Rebecca Sugar to write Prodigy, I don't expect it to reach that height. But at the same time, the only 2 shows I consider perfect are Star Trek, and Steven Universe. And this has the potential to be Steven Universe, but Star Trek. It is it has the kid showness, which means it can't have that gore, gratuity, sex, nudity that I'm not liking so much in the live action shows. But it also has the ability to cover these Steven Universe-esque stories that I don't think Star Trek has ever covered. The more emotional, personal development stories, or this is how you should be as a person. This is how to deal with your personal, emotional relationship problems. And so I'm really excited, even if it doesn't end up being as good as Steven Universe, to see that in the actual Star Trek universe with Janeway and the beautiful Star Trek universe we know. Thanks for watching. That was a lot longer than I thought it would be. I've been recording for 40 minutes. But if you like this style of video, definitely let me know and I'll do more of it. I've been wanting to live stream reactions to the episodes of Star Trek when they come out once I have a big enough audience to actually, have people show up and interact with. And I'll definitely be doing videos like that in the meantime after they come out. So if you have any dejections or thought, definitely let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.